The Cipher Brief, because national security is everyone's business.
I'd like to welcome CIG Principal Theresa Shea. Many of you already know Theresa served as the former Director of Signals Intelligence at the National Security Agency before holding a number of senior roles in the private sector. And Theresa, welcome. It's nice to see you.
Hey, Suzanne, it's great to be here. Wow, what an amazing day you've had today. This has been fascinating, such thoughtful conversation. And I really appreciate you asking me to join for a few minutes. You know, I recently had the pleasure of running the cyber offense defense business, Codex, at Raytheon Technologies, where we really use the offense to inform the defense, push the defenders to think like the attackers. But then after leaving Raytheon, I got out of Washington and I got to spend some quality time with my daughter and her newly minted naval commander husband, what I now think of as my expanded Navy family. I've gotten to know this whole group of officers out there over the years, really through them. And they're currently centered in Coronado, California, which is not a bad place to visit either. But these officers, they're at the pointy end of the spear when it comes to fighting the next naval war. And they're the ones that are going to be in charge, and they intend to win that war. So they always want to talk and learn about the strategic issues they're facing in cyber. And honestly, Suzanne, I learn a great deal from these discussions, as they're very well read and very thoughtful. They've consumed all of Admiral Gilday's reading lists and have bookshelves filled with their own reading recommendations. You and I would both be impressed with the numerous cyber thrillers that they have on their shelves that they have come to know and love. The Sandworm by Andy Greenberg, Light War by P.W. Singer, Zero Day by Kim Zetter, and just about everything that Bruce Shire has ever written. I counted over 30 books on this new CO's bookshelf, all purchased by him to learn everything he could on what to anticipate, not only in his duties as a leader of these sailors in this squadron, but also in a fight against a staunch adversary such as China. He really is working to increase the awareness of the cyber threat to the entire squadron so that they can be better prepared for the next fight. And as I mentioned, they're well-read, they're well-educated, but they're also immersed in fighting the daily tactical battles of the bureaucracy, worrying about dealing with yet another budget bill not being passed, and doing more with less while keeping the troops motivated and resilient. They expect when they engage weapons in a fight, they will work, and that their communications will be secure when they need them, and that the missions of rescuing isolated personnel, protecting strike groups, delivering critical supplies and personnel, wherever they are needed, are not impaired due to a cyber vulnerability. Hey, I'd argue with anybody that these sailors should not be underestimated, but they can't defend what they don't know. And in many cases, they are unaware of the vulnerabilities to their weapon systems and flying platforms because we do not conduct vulnerability assessments diligently on these platforms. Many argue here that the budget's just not available and that the constant continuing resolutions coming out of Washington are a serious detriment to their ability to act. Yes, they need a budget, they need the funds to address them so that they can deal with the problems right in front of them today. And these challenges of these DoD weapons platform cybersecurity, they're not new. There's been numerous reports, including a GAO audit, that calls out the issues and that the military service branches have not issued guidance describing how the acquisition officials should incorporate cybersecurity requirements into contracts for these platforms. But I do want to call out a notable exception to this, which is the Air Force, which has the Cyber Resiliency Office for Weapons Systems, or CROWS. They published a guidebook on achieving resiliency in these systems, and I'd encourage the entire services to take a look at this guidebook It covers things like cybersecurity, trusted systems and networks, anti-tamper information protection, and of course, my favorite, cyber resiliency. And it outlines a single process to better integrate program protection and system security engineering, with the end goal of helping these program offices design their weapon systems to be more cyber resilient. I say hooray for them. Back here in Washington, we talk a lot about resiliency, yet we don't require cyber resiliency across our current weapon platforms and many of our current flying platforms. And I get it, it's a lot to worry about, and cyber is just one more attack surface, but we know unequivocally that it can be a deadly one. And if you missed Chris Inglis's DEF CON talk last week, he told journalist Kim Zetter that the way forward for cybersecurity is defense, defined roles and responsibilities, and investing in resilience and robustness. So more specifically stating, make defense the new offense, such that, and this is only the Chris Inglis words, to beat one of us, you have to beat all of us. So my call to action is to apply this mandate to the challenge our service members face every day and allocate that responsibility, accountability, and resources to the providers, suppliers, and the integrators so that they can invest what's required to make these platforms and weapons inherently resilient and robust. Thanks again, Suzanne. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Theresa. I really appreciate your comments. You've given us a whole new thing to think about today, which we don't want to add to the worry list, but I think to your point, being able to sort through these issues and prioritize them in the way that they need to be prioritized is only going to make the country safer. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.